As you know, Assembly Bill 1826, another state rule, added a new chapter 12.9 regarding organic waste recycling to the Integrated Waste Management Act. This is effective January 1st, 2015. AB 1826 phases in the mandatory recycling of organic waste, and that's defined as food waste, green waste, landscape and pruning waste, non-hazardous wood waste, and food soiled paper waste that is mixed with food waste for businesses. It's defined as a commercial or public entity, including but not limited to a firm, partnership, proprietorship, joint stock company, corporation, or association that is organized for profit or nonprofit entity, or a multifamily residential dwelling. Specifically, AB 1826 imposes the following schedule for mandatory organic waste recycling. So what we're talking about is separating all this organic waste from our current disposal activity. Another bin for our backyards. There's a specific schedule that the state has set up for us. April 1st of 2016.
Gary, let me stop you for a second. It's the same bin as the green waste bin, though, right? It's not a separate bin.
This would be same bin?
Same bin as the current green waste, so it wouldn't be a fourth bin.
It won't be a different one.
A little easier.
We're ahead of the times over here in Wildomar.
So April 1st, 2016, that's the critical date. Businesses that generate more than, generate 8 cubic yards or more of organic waste per week shall arrange for organic waste recycling services. And that's what we're alluding to here, is how to recycle these organic waste items. January 1st, 2017, businesses that generate 4 cubic yards or more organic waste, they all come online. January 1st, 2019. A business that generates 4 cubic yards or more of commercial solid waste per week shall arrange for this type of service. And then January 1st, 2020, a decision will be made, an assessment will be done, and determine how much additional contribution needs to be made for this organic waste program. So we have a number of milestone dates that need to be made throughout the community. And as you know, this is CR&R's amendment. As you know, we have 2 waste hauling companies in the city, segregated by the freeway, one on the west side, one on the east side, CR&R being on the west side. So in addition to this AB 26, it's going to require that we, local jurisdictions, adopt an organic waste recycling program by January 1st, 2016. And that's what this report is all about. For us to adopt a program prior to January 1st, 2016, it states that it is appropriate for the jurisdiction and designed specifically to divert organic waste generated by the business that are required by AB 1826 to implement organic waste recycling. So that's what's being presented to you tonight, is our plan with CR&R for implementing this program. Specifically unique to CR&R, as you may know, they've developed an anaerobic digester facility, which some of us have had the pleasure of having a tour of. And basically it's a unit that all the green waste can be deposited, and it's recycled, and the output is either fertilizer or natural gas. And it's quite a novel technology that's being incorporated. Well, that system, that technique is going to cost additional funds to have that built and maintained. So that will result in a proposed increase to the fees for the services that CR&R would be providing to utilize that system. Going forward with this 4th amendment, we are stating that CR&R does have a plan to deal with this new AB 1826, and their plan would include using this new facility, which would incorporate an increase in the rate. So what we're asking for tonight is to approve this amendment, this fourth amendment, which would recognize that CR&R does have the plan to deal with this change, and that a rate increase would be forthcoming that would be explained to us in the next couple of months prior to July 1st, when they're looking at other rate changes on their annual rate review. A presentation by CR&R about how this would work and why the need for an increase would be made in the February-March timeframe, which will go through in detail and explain how this benefits the community and why the need for a rate increase. So that pretty much concludes the presentation on this version, or this waste haulers plan. Now the next report is dealing with the waste management company, the other one. So I'm available for questions. We have representatives here from CR&R who can answer and address your questions also.
All right. Debbie, any public comment first?
We do not have any.
All right. With that, open it up for council questions. Council?
Go ahead, Lauren.
I'm still real confused what we're actually voting. It says there's no fiscal impact, but yet you said that there would be in the future by approving this. And, you know, I've been through the plant, it's beautiful, I think it's a great idea. I don't know that I really think it's fair to pass it on to our residents. It is an increase that everyone will be paying, and if voting yes on this tonight means I'm saying yes, we'll look at a fee increase, I can't move forward on this one. If this is saying something else, that there really is no impact and this rates are not gonna go up because we agree to this tonight, I understand what the state has said. And, you know, we don't have a huge amount of restaurants here in Wildomar or commercial operations that produce all that much waste. My dog eats everything that's left over at my house. I don't care what it is. So you won't get much from me. And most of the people here, so I mean, in this area, they have chickens, they have cows, they have animals that will eat most of the waste that is left over. So I don't know how you're going to prove that we're meeting or not meeting our recycling of this waste. If there is no waste, if we're eating all of our food and there is no garbage, if the animals are eating them, I don't know why we should be paying. So, like I say, I'm still confused on exactly what this means.
Well, and I have a question too around the timeline you have on here, what types of businesses and what size of businesses come under the law. At what point does a residential come under the law or required to do it? Or is that not part of the current statute?
Doesn't look like it, does it?
It isn't. Part of the current definition of a business includes multifamily residential dwelling. But as of now, it does not include single-family residential dwelling.
We have 3 apartments in Wildomar, apartment units, large complexes. I don't see where this city is in need of that service at this time.
I think it's just an overstep of the state again. It's the same old thing, 1826. I mean, who comes up with this stuff? I mean, we're already getting rid of all of our stuff. I mean, they are building that new unit, and it's gonna be an amazing unit. But it's also to everybody's advantage. They're gonna be able to sell all the fertilizer and the natural gas, whatever's left over from their own trucks. So I'm with you on that, you know, to pass on, eventually have the price being passed on to the people. That's all great and dandy, but the business is still a business and they make money off of it, and I don't see why it should be passed on. And if this is gonna set it up for that, I'm not gonna vote for that either, but because I don't agree with that. It's just the cost of doing business. Unfortunately, the state makes these mandates and everybody else has to follow them. But in this case, they've overstepped their boundary again. I don't have much to say. I'm just irritated with the whole thing.
I'm not sure that we actually have a choice though. I mean,
If we
Oh, we
don't-
have a choice, we just don't vote for it and just tell the state,
Yeah, but then if we do have to do it, what, we're gonna recycle it ourselves?
no. We already recycle, CR&R already has, I have 3 different things at my house. And one of them is the bio stuff, I mean, the clippings or whatever you wanna use. I have 2.5 acres, I could throw it out on the ground and let it
Well, my question is,
organic anyway.
how does the hospital and the schools play into this? Weren't they be considered our businesses? That would have to, because look at all the lunch food.
Well, that would be the
Right, so we do, so we'll
waste
look at
haulers
that.
would have to set them up with their system, because they're gonna be required to have that, so the cost is gonna go up there also.
But the residents themselves shouldn't have to pay. The residents aren't even included in this. We don't have that much commercial, we don't have that many. The school district, we don't even have all that many schools right here. We look at the whole school system clear over Canyon Lake, so why would we want to have our residents paying for theirs? School district needs to do something to meet those standards.
But what would be the option? Can we have CR&R? Because what would be the option if we didn't pay for it? We would still have to do it.
Well, and that's kind of the issue. So, under this new law, each jurisdiction, each public agency has to develop what's called a program, an organic waste recycling program, just a program. So this franchise amendment with CR&R says, okay, the program will be that CR&R will use their new facility. So in our discussions with CR&R, they said, okay, if the program is we're going to use our new facility, that will mean some level of a fee increase. Now this amendment doesn't say exactly what that level of fee increase will be, but it does say in order to use the new facility, there will be some level of fee increase that we can discuss over the next few months. I don't know if CR&R wants to come and talk about that, but from our perspective, by January 1st, we have to have at least a program adopted.
So if we don't adopt this, then we have to come up with our own program, which would be the city would have to do all that food waste.
Well, we have to come up with, what type of an organic waste facility are we going to use? And, the closest one in the area is the one that they have
Right.
constructed. I don't know what other options are available.
It's called a dump, that's where it goes now.
But we'd have to collect it. I don't like fee increases either, I just don't see that there's another option.
Tom, I have a question for you. Section 5 of this new code says a business located in a rural jurisdiction that is exempted pursuant to paragraph 2, subdivision A of section 42649.82 is not subject to this chapter. Have we ever looked up that definition? Are we considered a rural jurisdiction?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I mean,
Might be something we need to look
I
at.
could look into that. I don't believe that we qualify as rural.
If it's federal description, no.
Okay, this is state
We are
description.
urban.
Does the state describe us as urban and too, Bradley? Worth a try, right?
Yeah, it's worth looking into.
Some low-income homeowners, this is considered a rural area by FHA. So,
This area?
Well, the fact is that we already have this and we're already doing this as it is right now.
We already
All of
have
our
it.
houses have that on the west side of the freeway, and the east side is waste management. I don't know how they work it on this side of the freeway. This is the upper
Well,
level.
they both have a green bin at both
Yeah,
sides.
agree, but you don't put your food waste in
Not
there.
yet, no, on either of them.
Right. And if we didn't adopt this, we wouldn't be able to,
Right.
correct?
Does CR&R want to answer these questions, or?
Yes, please.
So there's gonna be another bin?
No, you put
No,
it in your green bin, but you
Oh,
won't.
you're gonna be able to put it in the green bin.
Just put it in.
Well, it's all organic anyway, I don't even understand what the problem is. It's organic.
Right,
Came out of the ground, it's going in the ground.
well, they're gonna capture the methane and put it into their trucks.
No, I understand that, but I mean, it's food byproducts and stuff is still green.
Yeah.
It's just like clippings, we just eat it with salad dressing on it.
Alex, what do you want to tell us?
Not quite sure. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Alex Breakovich with CR&R, and council and staff. The document you have in front of you, as your city manager described, is basically putting you in compliance with the state law, right? What the city chooses to do after your program is in place is obviously your call. There are two segments, two populations in your city. There's the business segment, there's the residential segment. effective April 1, 2016, anybody who generates more than 8 cubic yards of organic waste will be required to have an organic waste program in place. We don't feel on our side of the freeway anyways that there are customers that will fall into that classification. So we're not too worried about that, but we do feel that in order for the city to be in compliance long-term, there needs to be a rate structure associated to that new service that we will provide, along with the anaerobic digester that's being developed. On the residential side of the equation, again, that's something that City Council can decide one way or another, whether you feel that that's something the City of Wildomar wants to participate in. We feel that long-term, it's a good opportunity for the city to get involved, just because as organics start to become a bigger and bigger player in the waste stream, there has to be an end market to take that organic waste stream. Right now, if we had a customer that said, hey, we want to take our food waste and dump it in with the green waste, we can't take it because it has to be separated right now. The only location that we know of is the location that's being built out in Paris at our facility. So I don't know if that answers all of your questions or not, but it tries to address, this particular amendment tries to address the issues that all of our cities are facing, quite honestly, going into next year. So, you know, before you used to have basically 3 end markets: the landfill, or the dump, as you mentioned, Tim, where your trash goes. Then you had your recyclables that went to a recyclable processing facility, and your green waste. And your green waste basically went to 2 different places. It can go to the landfill as alternative daily cover, right? There's another companion bill, AB 1594, that basically eliminates ADC as a diversion credit for the cities, and that's effective in 2020. So the ADC component goes away. The other way we use it is as land application. The land application is starting to dwindle as well. So we had to come up with an alternative for cities to be able to take their green waste and their food waste, or now it's called organic waste, on a long-term basis. There was no other way for us to address that issue for our jurisdictions. So, of course, we made that investment into the future in order for our cities to be in compliance with AB 1826 and AB 1594 as well. 1594 is not mentioned in your staff report. That is the one that basically does away with ADC, alternative daily cover at landfills, that serves as a credit for diversion purposes for the city to meet their 50% recycling requirements.
Well, do you know what the mindset was that? What was the mindset when they took that away? I mean, to have the daily cover, it helps generate more decomposition, right? Is that how it works? Or does
yeah, ADC took the place of dirt. You know, at a landfill, at the end of the day, you either cover the trash with dirt.
Gotcha.
Or with a tarp, which is what a lot of landfills are going to now, because in the landfill business, it's all about compaction ratios. How much trash can you fit in airspace? And if you put a foot of dirt or a foot of alternative daily cover, that takes up airspace. So in order to preserve that airspace, if you will, and get as much in there as possible, they're going to tarps. So they're doing away with dirt, they're doing away with ADC, because it's not you know, the way they want to do business in the future.
Well, when we looked at it, and we've all been there and viewed your machine and everything, it's awesome. I mean, there's no way around it. I think the whole problem with them being shoved on us by the state irks me. I understand why. I understand they'll get away from as much landfills as possible. That's an awesome thing. But when there's generation of product at the other end that can offset what you have to do, I understand the capital investment and stuff like that at the beginning, because I know it's like $35 million to build this piece of machinery and everything, and it's pretty amazing. But somewhere down the road, you're getting all the gas from it, you're getting all the fertilizer, you're selling all these things off, and this is a prelude to us raising people's rates by, I think it was like $2 or something. And I understood, when you guys explained it to me, I understand that. But to sell it to the people for $2, It's a lot.
Every month.
Especially when you're
not per pay
getting,
period.
when you're getting the byproduct off of it to fuel your machine. It's just like me and my business. If there was a way I could figure out how to make something to fuel my vehicles that my costs went down, then I could give the customer the benefit of the doubt or the benefit of the break. That's what's gonna come next. I mean, that's what people are gonna ask, and I'm the one that has to ask it, unfortunately, because I'm the elected official. So this, I feel like Mom does, that this is opening up the Pandora's box here by approving this. I understand why we have to do it. It's a hard medicine to swallow.
I'm not even sure that Wildomar produces enough to this even be, that we fall under it. I mean, when we have 2 grocery stores, sure, they're gonna have some green waste, but I see people taking that green waste and using that food. We have 15, 20 restaurants, if you're really pushing it, counting fast food and everything. Are they producing enough to fall under this law at all? Does anybody know what Wildomar produces?
Well, I know there's gonna be a fee later on down the road for whoever is producing has to have another trash can, basically.
Yeah.
So they'll make
The law basically requires.
The law is basically forcing everybody to pay more in a
Yeah,
tax.
basically what the law says is that jurisdictions need to have organic waste programs in place for organic waste generators.
Right.
And what they've done is they've stepped that over the next 4 or 5 years from 8 cubic yards down to 2, I think it is, by year 5 or 4, whatever that number is, I can't remember off the top of
So
my
is 2 like a restaurant, 2 like Stater Brothers, 2,
Well, it depends on the size of the restaurant, right? A restaurant does a lot of business.
We don't have those. We have all small restaurants. I mean, they're
so-
family owned.
So the answer is that restaurant
Jenny's
wouldn't be
is
required to have an
family-owned.
organic waste program. Right?
Well,
But
if
the
it's gonna
city
get
has
the-
to have that in place, so
as an
when-
option?
Yeah, so when CalRecycle, who's the state agency that basically manages our business,
Right.
when CalRecycle comes around every year, they ask for an annual report from the city of Wildomar, as well as from every city in the state of California.
Right.
And they're gonna ask you, what are you doing with regards to 1594 and 1826?
Don't produce enough to qualify. I
I don't know if that
I
provision's in the
show
law.
that we do, you
And
know.
what about back to the schools though, or the high
The
school?
the schools could be
They're a public agency and they
schools,
deal with it
hospitals,
themselves, not us.
Could be a pretty large generator.
So- But
They
does,
don't care.
is what Marcia's saying correct, that doesn't, it's not Wildomar's? Even though like the high school, we have 4 elementary and a high school and some private schools and a charter school. Does that count as Wildomar's organic, or is
Yeah,
that?
but they're within your jurisdiction,
So then we
Our
would have
responsibility to,
8 cubic yards. What about the hospital?
same thing.
But the carriers are gonna supply the actual things to pull it away from them.
right, but we have to put that into our carriers' agreements that we have.
I understand that. I understand
So,
that.
you know, I realize there are a lot of questions and a lot of unknowns going down this path. The law requires that we do follow this, and we'll look into the questions you raised. I would like to look into the question I raised, are we rural? And maybe we have some wiggle room in a lot of this. Maybe we have some wiggle room when we talk about residential versus commercial, because from what I see here, I don't see the residential requirement. So maybe this is only something we're gonna put on our commercial for a long time to come. I don't know. But we need to at least start down this path and have these conversations. I know part of the staff report, not on this side, but the item for boards, commissions, talks about adding a franchise committee to look at our franchise agreements with both waste haulers and to go over this. I think that's something we definitely need to do and get a committee up and standing for this and have a couple regular meetings, have some more of these conversations and try and flush this stuff out, invite the public down to be part of those conversations. And it's not gonna be easy, and other cities have just sort of said, sure. I think in this city, you're hearing a lot of comments that it's not just sure. Yeah. So, you know, this is just the start of that process, and I understand your reservations of not wanting you to start the process, but we have to have something on the books to at least be complying that we have the start of the program. And this, putting this on the, part of our,
But if this is going to lead to a rate increase, I
Well,
can't
that's
vote on it tonight.
something that we have to talk about during, in the future.
Well, that's gonna be down the road when we have to make
No,
that
but
decision
it
on
is
rate.
in here that there will be a rate.
Well, we already
increase.
know that, but
That might just be on
is
just
that a
commercial.
negotiable point? at the next time when we talked about the rate increase.
Sure.
That's gonna be the issue, is it all negotiable?
And it does, it says there will be a rate increase, but it doesn't say how much, and it doesn't say on what entities.
On who?
Unless,
So if it wants to be clarified, something different here, that it's going to be on commercial, or that we're gonna have some facts
Well, that's
before we
something we
vote?
gotta go down that path and at least talk about.
I know as a kid, I'm probably one of the few people sitting up here that remembers a garbage can. And for a week, they were this tall, and they were that big around. You had a container in your sink that you put the garbage in and let the rest drain down, and you carried this messy thing out and you put it in that can. And they took it and dumped it in the landfill, I guess, because it's organic. It's going to decompose, and it's going to be dirt, and it's going to be healthy again. And I understand what you're doing. I think it's a wonderful idea. I think it's great. It's gonna save money with gasoline. It's gonna make more fertilizer. Those products are gonna be used instead of just dumped in the dirt. But I don't know that Wildomar is there yet. Like I said, most of us don't have that much as a family. Even tract homes now, they have chickens. The chicken will eat your potato peels, will eat everything. So I need some more numbers and some more facts before I'm ready to move forward. If that says there's going to be a rate increase. Do you want to take that line out?
Well, I think,
Say
you know,
it,
if,
discussed in the future?
the way it's laid out now, we're saying that if we go with the Fourth Amendment, this is the plan, this is a plan that CR&R has laid out. If through, and going with this plan, there will be a rate increase.
Yeah.
However, if we go forward and have the discussion with the committees and we come up with another plan where we don't do this downstream, and we have our discussions over the next couple of months, then we come up with another plan with CR&R that may not have an increase in it. Maybe we just don't do this at all at that time. But at this point in time, to comply by agreeing to this,
Can't do it.
you still have the option not to follow through with it.
There's other voters here.
Well,
Fair enough.
I can't.
Yeah, it's just, the problem is that nobody pushes back on the state for keep coming up with this kind of stuff. And we're the guys at the bottom of the hill that has to keep putting up with all the crap they keep rolling down on us. And I'm sick of it. So
Quickly,
I'm always
Bill,
willing people to back up and say, forget them, you know, tell them to pound sand. I'm just tired
Well, I
of
want to
it.
see if these even apply to us.
I understand the whole idea, the concept is, you know, it's organic for crying out loud. It didn't come from outer space, it all goes back into the ground eventually. So it just drives me crazy.
let me make one comment. If the majority of the city council is uncomfortable moving forward with this franchise amendment tonight, even though there is a requirement that we adopt a program by January 1st, I would be comfortable if you wanted to continue this item and have staff continue to speak with CR&R and bring it back at your January meeting. That would be, you know, a couple of weeks beyond the January deadline, but I don't know as Cal Recycle is going to be enforcing this within the first few weeks of January. So if you wanted to do that, we could go and meet with CR&R. Again, I don't know as there will be any significant change in the discussion.
Well, I understand they're bound by the law, they're being forced to do something, and we're being forced to apply, conform. It's not CR&R's fault that they're sticking it to
Right.
us in the
Right.
long run. They've made the capital investment to build this thing, but it is a benefit to your business. It'd be just like me building something new, it is a benefit to my business, and from what I can see, it's a big benefit for you guys as far as the fuel for the trucks and stuff. So to turn around and see what you're doing with it and all the stuff you're making off of it and the money that's gonna generate, and then turn around and tell me, oh, you need to raise the rates a couple dollars a thing. It's a hard nut to crack, you know, and I'm having to
I
ask.
do want to clarify one thing though. On the commercial side of the equation, we are going to propose a commercial rate structure. Just like you have a commercial rate structure now for
Right.
your trash or for your recycling. At the end of the day, the commercial business will decide what level of service they want or don't want. You're not, in other words, you're not forcing the commercial business to take a service. They're gonna choose, it's a subscription-based service, right? So when we talk about commercial, we're gonna basically say, here are the rates, if you want a certain size container going once a week, twice a week, 3 times, just like trash service,
Right.
they're basically gonna choose, right? Now, what we've also offered is a low volume, organic waste container, which is gonna be basically the carts you have at home. So let's say you have a small restaurant, it doesn't generate a lot of organic waste, but they have to comply with the state regulations. We've also come up with a small container that will minimize the cost to the businesses. So keep in mind, the business, it's just like what you have right now, for trash and for recycling. They choose what size and how often.
But
So
we were
what you're-
we were also talking about the private citizen in their homes though.
Yeah, now.
Even though it
the
doesn't say it in
residential-
here.
Right, the residential side of the equation is a whole different discussion. If the city of Wildomar wants to go forward with that, we have that discussion and we address that issue,
Right.
okay? Today, tonight, correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't bind you to do anything. All it's doing is basically putting you in compliance.
Well, it
With a
says, it says
future
there will
increase.
be a rate increase, but it doesn't give the
It
details
doesn't
on
give the details.
what that rate increase would be.
Exactly.
Even if it said there may be, I could live with that, but I cannot live with it saying there's going to be an increase and we don't know what it is and we're voting, yeah, there's gonna be an increase.
Well, we know there's gonna be an increase if they have an up in their service.
Well,
They're
again,
gonna have to have the other,
If
the other
they fall
container,
under
they're
that
gonna
they
pay for
have
it.
that much cubic waste,
Well, like you
I don't know
said,
that they have it.
yeah, but like you said,
If they don't have it,
if they have
they're
a
not gonna
smaller
see the
one, they have a smaller unit that is cheaper, whatever, they don't have it.
But the rates will still be increased. They may
Well, yeah,
have
of course,
smaller.
but everything goes up every year, as we already know.
Yeah.
I'm against the single family homes having an increase. That's just the way it is. I mean, there's too many of us, and we already have those things. We're already paying for that service. So, I know it's a hot button. Fortunately, Alex, you get to stand up there and get it, but we have to do it the other way too. I'm so,
All right.
we just keep getting these AB here and SB here and stick it to the guys down at the bottom of the hill. I'm just sick of them. So, did I mention I'm sick of them?
It's been well heard, Tim. So let's do this. First, my thought is there even a first or a second for what staff has proposed here?
So moved.
Are you gonna second that? No? We're gonna, I guess it's gonna.
I'll second it just to see if there's even a vote for it, you know, and my thought on this is this just gets us started. I think we have a lot more conversations to go through. You know, the shell increase is rough, but there shall be an increase to the commercial guys if they are over the 8 cubic yards in the first year. They're gonna have to get that other container and they have to comply with this, so that's the shell part of this. So with that, let's call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No?
No.
All right, staff, could we entertain a separate motion that instead of shall, we say may? Is that something we can do, or do you want that to come back in January?
They're gonna, I think it's.
CR&R would need to agree to that, because it is a contract, so we can't unilaterally impose that unless CR&R would like to agree to that tonight on the record and we make changes.
Now, I think we'd have to come back and discuss it with staff and figure out what steps you want to take.
Okay.
When you come back, can you tell us what waste Wildomar's producing as far as organic, the restaurants and whoever would be paying? I mean, you must have an idea right now how many bins each one has and how much is picked up there and if they're full or not full.
We can give you an estimate based on, you know, the size of restaurant that it is, the type of restaurant.
Yeah, I just would be curious if that information's available.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't anticipate a significant amount of organic waste from businesses from the get-go, because those thresholds are set so high.
Yeah.
I mean, really, quite honestly, the 8 cubic yards, we're looking at maybe a place like UC Riverside,
Yeah.
or,
That's what-
but, again, you, as a city, the state's gonna look and they're gonna say, is the city of Wildomar in compliance with this new law? They're not requiring you to charge these fees, they're requiring you to have a program in place to address what 1826 says you have to have. That's all they're saying. You're not implementing.
But that's not what this is saying. This is saying there will be an increase.
Yeah, that's the problem.
They're not, there's two different, that's A and B. That's apples and oranges.
Well, I think the staff report is saying there will be an increase if you're producing over 8 yards and you have to go out and get this bid.
Have it say that.
Well,
It's the wording.
Yeah, it does matter what the words are. We all found that out. It's all in the
I
wording.
mean, I think every one of us has visited and has seen, and we're very impressed with what's going on there. But I don't want the residents here paying for it. I don't think they're going to be using it to that price of $2 a month. I don't. That's $6 every time the bill comes due. And that's just to start off with.
Because yeah, it's true. I mean, we have the annual increases anyway every year. I mean, it's just the way it is. But it does, the language matters in here. Shall, will, and all that, that's all makes a difference.
Well, we would be more than happy to sit down with staff and see if we can come up with some language that is amenable to city council.
might be staff, might be a subcommittee we create later.
Or
tonight.
subcommittee, yeah.
So, all right, not hearing enough votes for this item to pass, I'll ask for a motion to continue this item until staff's ready to bring it back.
Oh, January?
Well, I don't want to nail it down to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think you need the motion to approve it failed, so this item is done. It's not a public hearing, so we don't need to notice it.
Okay.
We will just put it back on the agenda when it's appropriate.
I'll leave that to Bridget to bring back on the agenda when it's appropriate. Thank you, Alex.